Welcome to Sensual Secrets, where we talk about how you can live in pleasure by embracing your feminine energy, finding and nurturing a deeply loving relationship, and growing into the best version of yourself. My name is Lieke Seles, and I will be your host, guiding you on this intimate journey of self-discovery. I hope you really enjoy, and please subscribe. It would mean so much to me. Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to a new episode of Sensual Secrets. And today, we're going to have a little bit of a different approach. I am sharing with you a conversation that I've had with a dear friend of mine, Dina. She's a successful businesswoman who's the owner of a multiple seven-figure business, Ark of Sweden, in which they have all kinds of natural and health-enhancing products, such as Ark drops. Next to that, she's also working on building and creating offers and practices for women to reconnect to their authentic and female selves. In our conversation, we talk about her experience as a success-driven, ambitious woman in business and how that affects her inner polarity of her masculine and feminine energies, and also how that reflects on her relationships, on her romantic relationship, and her experience of this in the work setting. I'm really grateful to have experienced this conversation, this first interview, as I was a bit nervous to record it, but I really enjoyed it, and I'm sure that there will be a lot more interesting conversations following in the future. So enjoy this first one. Okay, so thank you, Dina. I'm so excited for you to join me on my podcast.
You have no idea.
Because to me, you're such an inspiring woman. You're such a go-getter, and you're so on top of everything and all the things that you've achieved in your life. I'm really, really inspired by all of that.
Thank you. Well, I'm trying not to define my worth by my achievements, but yeah, I'm very thankful and grateful that I had the drive. But yeah, I'm definitely discovering a new part of myself now. Not defining my worth by, being always on the go and always achieving and seeing and doing. So yeah, but thank you. I really appreciate that. I know you think more of me than just all my achievements. But,
no, of course. It's just very inspiring.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And maybe I'd love to start with that. If you can share a bit more before we go into the feminine parts of it. If you can first share a bit more about all of these beautiful successes that you have achieved in your life already.
Yeah, thank you. Where to start? I come from a household of immigrant parents, Bosnian heritage, and saw them do their hero's journey in Sweden, really completely alone, young parents, just reestablishing themselves in a completely unknown environment and working really hard, no family, no nothing. And seeing that, I guess my mom was pushing me a lot and kind of like, you have to work twice as hard because your last name is Rogonja and not Svensson. So I was brought up in Sweden, and I guess she is a big factor into why I've been achieving things. But then when I really think about it, I think it's my curiosity that has led me here mostly. And she was at many points trying to tone that part down. Because,
why is that?
Because she wanted me to get to school, do your risk assessments, don't get into any dangers and so on. And I feel like I've done it all. Like I've gone to the discomfort hard, whilst maybe she was more in a fear mentality and survival rather than curious, right? So that is the difference. And I come from a loving household, so I was super positive and very loved and so on. And I guess just my curiosity navigated me to this point. But achievement-wise, already when I graduated high school, I moved to Malta for a year. And there I did everything for the first time, drinking all the time, sex and all, like just full on rebel mode. And I was a bit of a rebel prior to that too, but yeah, the story can get long and we don't want to go there. And after Malta, I moved to Barcelona for 3 years. And there I really had my living the girl life. I had 2 roommates, girls, and we just lived literally like the Barcelona dream.
Nice.
And it was so beautiful, and learned Spanish. And so I had that as a constant. And I believe that's really important in life, is to always have something like a direction.
Yeah.
Because if you just fully surrender and drop in, unfortunately, it's a patriarchal world, you can get exploited, by other forces.
Yeah.
So always good to have a little constant. And for me, it was like learn Spanish, and that led to another, and so on. So that was a beautiful chapter in my life. And then I went back to Sweden, studied. I'm an engineer in my studies. And during my student years, I also met my partner, my beautiful partner, and I started a business with his twin brother.
So you were studying and you built a business during?
Yeah, my last year. Yeah, I work really well under pressure. So that kind of helped me push through my studies. And we had a B2B marketing media creation agency.
Yeah.
For small, medium businesses. And we also had wedding photography and film.
Yeah.
I had it as a hobby with the creation and film and photo. But he taught me a lot, and he needed somebody of my charisma and like outspokenness to lead the company. And we did that for a while. I graduated, but I continued with the businesses. But then Corona hit.
Yeah.
And I got completely cold feet. I thought there is no way our business is going to survive. I just told him, you'll run that show. I'm going to find myself a real job. And I found a real job, and I worked as an IT consultant, like system developer for like a big American corporation.
Yeah.
And I did that for a year, and most of the time it was from my home because we couldn't go anywhere really. Blessing and a curse to work from home, because it made me really, think that I can never work in a corporate world because there was no way for me to integrate at all. Because this is the whole thing with working corporate, is that eventually you start belonging somewhere.
Yeah.
You start belonging to a certain group and the vision and whatever. And that kind of has you a little bit.
Yeah, work hard, play hard.
Kind of. Yeah. But I was just like month 2, I was like, what the fuck am I doing here? I need to find a way out.
Yeah.
And I was really thankful. I was doing my best, and I was really thankful because it was Corona time, so I had it stable. But Julie, my partner, he also was panicking. He was one of the best barbers in Sweden, but he's almost 2 meters tall. So his back was breaking from this work. And for him, he doesn't have as much experience as I have. It doesn't have like an academic background. Yeah. So he was like, I just need to think outside of the box.
Yeah.
And we were in this period really into the self-development. And this is when everything like spirituality, self-development started for us. And we tapped into Mind Valley, started doing a bunch of courses, and we thought like, this is possible to build your own business from scratch in a completely different field. And we jumped on the e-commerce thing. So we developed first a brand called Tonrev, which is a eyewear brand. And it was going, but 3 months later, we launched Ark of Sweden, which is the business that I'm working mostly on right now. And this, due to that first business that we had learned so many strategies. We learned what to not to do.
Yeah.
We learned all like, okay, how do we, this next one, what do we actually do to make this like take off from the get-go, And
that's so beautiful that you have all of these building blocks coming together.
They come together, and maybe I should reflect more. I'm really happy to be here and be like, oh, yeah, like I've actually done a lot of mistakes, but then, it all comes together for some reason. You just can never give up, honestly.
Yeah, it's building life experience. And then you keep going, you keep moving forward. You never quit.
You never quit. And I think quitting is like It's only a game with you and yourself, whether you're going to experience it as shame or not.
Yeah.
And I never experienced
Yeah.
is like failure. I mean, I did, but it wasn't that bad, you know?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people have this crazy picture about failure and about making mistakes and losing and stuff. And
Yeah, when you really see it as defeat,
When you
for
really-
you, it brings maybe a lot of shame. And I think for me, it's the energy that you put in because you feel like you're defeated. So you have to take that energy and see the opportunity in it and see the positive in it, because otherwise you might
will
see it
be
as a
defeated.
waste of energy.
Yes, yes.
So you
but
choose. Yeah.
You choose, but the energy is still never wasted.
Yeah.
Like it can only be wasted if you choose to be defeated by
Exactly.
it. If you choose to
Yeah.
victimize yourself, and if you choose to put that dream on the shelf.
Yeah.
You know, and the point being is that our dreams change as well. Like we did. We started an eyewear brand and it was going, but it wasn't going that good. And then we had this other thing going on. And as soon as that exploded, we just put that one on the side, you know?
You put the eyewear brand on the
we put it
side.
on the side.
Yeah.
Don't waste time on things that don't work. But that's also the progression, I think. It's not about that specific thing. It's about what do you want, the big picture out of life. I think is also important to kind of let things unfold naturally.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. And in that way, you are in your business hustle, but you're still allowing the natural flow of life.
I'm not going to limit myself to all the management tools, to all the structures, to all the everything, even though they are very good tools and help. But it's really important to keep the mind open at all costs,
Yeah.
especially in startups, because we are... With this brand, Ark of Sweden, now we're celebrating 2 years in a week since we launched.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And we're still in that phase. Like right now, we're establishing the defined operational plan. Where are we?
Okay.
In
Yeah.
years to come.
Also because you've been through trial and error. Yeah.
It's like you're just taking out fires
Yeah.
in the beginning. And I think that's important because you can establish an audience, you can establish whatever, but if you don't listen to them, if you don't listen to the market, if you don't listen to what's actually going on in the world, and also if you don't listen to your heart, because we're also ever changing, right? And I want my brand to be of impact.
Yeah.
In the beginning, we were like, okay, let's make money. When we saw first week $50,000, we're like, what is going on?
Yeah.
But very shortly down the line, we're like, okay, this money means nothing. How can we make this actually have some impact? Like, how can we bring value to people?
Yes.
And
That's
that
beautiful.
that comes from, I think, just good values, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. Trying to be of service
to
to
be of
humanity or,
Yeah.
to the benefit of the world.
Yeah. And I think as women, we have that inherited, like, in us. I'm not saying that men don't have it, but we're more closely connected to that. That's why I think it's so beautiful that there's so many women rising to the leadership positions.
Yeah.
And once they actually manage to switch from that hyper masculine that they're in, because I am still there and I was much more there. But like when we
Yes.
start making that switch and healing the masculine, using that masculine to our benefit, but healing it, like understanding it and really using it where it belongs, but then also
Yes.
awakening this feminine, really reclaiming the feminine in business and in leadership. Oh my God.
That's when
Oh
things
my
shifted.
God. Like I got goosebumps saying it now because
Wow.
I feel like I'm going there and I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know what damage I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna do damage
In a good way.
in a good way. Seriously.
And do you think you coming more into your feminine, do you mean with that leading your business from the heart and implementing the masculine in function of that heart-led business?
That's a really nice. She, by the way, guys, Likke is the best. Like we that this is what we know now. She takes information in and she zoop and she just puts it out in like the most easy, great way. It's so understandable. And I'm like, how did you make that equation in your head and just put it back here on my plate? I'm like, I don't know what to answer now. It went too fast. She did it too good.
Thank you, I appreciate it. But yeah, I'm just reflecting back what's coming out of you, which is beautiful.
And it's beautiful, and I'm just finding my flow here again, and I'm thinking that I want to say that my heart is my feminine. I would rather say that my feminine is a reclamation of what makes me a woman. Mm-hmm. And what makes us women is, I guess, hormonal stuff, our certain bodily parts, our womb, our vulva, our tits, all these things. And also just, I guess, attributes of the feminine, you know, the surrender, the creativity, the let ourselves to be led, and you are the pro here. And yes, maybe that also comes from the heart, but I think it's more about regaining the power and removing everything that has shamed us and held us back, and not let us say that I am powerful. I want to be able to, when I'm crying in devastation in front of my male colleagues, because I only work with men, even if I'm crying, I want to cry and be powerful at the same time. You know,
yes, so it doesn't take away any of your power. Exactly.
And that is only done by the story I tell myself.
Yeah.
You know? And if I see my tears as a weakness, and if I see all these things as a weakness, of course it's going to come off as a weakness, you know?
Yeah.
Really. I'm a big advocate for authenticity and expression as well. I would want people, that environments, and especially in business, are not so sterile. I mean, it's just too much rules out there. It's way too much rules. And I think...
Do you think that creates a disconnection from that inspiration?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's what has led us to this hyper masculinity in so many ways. The rules were created and set by men who go by a 24-hour circadian watch, right? Like,
yeah.
They have...
So, yeah, you're referring to their hormonal...
Their hormonal cycle. Like, everything is like... It's easy for them to... Not easy, because, let's be real, they're also very dysfunctioned by how business structure is set up and just work environments and the world. I mean, boys don't cry and all these things. It's really sad to see what has come out of them because of the system.
You're saying it's not that men are bad. It's just the whole evolution of how systems have been put in place and how now the containers and all of the rules are set in place, and that creates a disconnection for both men and women with ourselves and with our essence.
Yeah, and I don't know if an easy way to sum that up is that it's almost like the system is this toxic masculine archetype. Like that is how I see it as a general almost.
Okay.
And what it needs is for that archetype to be healed, both between women and men, because we both carry it in the environment. And then the super wounded feminine, and there's a lot of wounded masculine as well. Especially now we see a big rise of wounded masculine due to this equality, kind of like that women and men are the same.
Yeah.
Which they're not.
Yeah, we're so different, and we should honor the differences.
We should honor the differences. That is our strengths, you know. Yeah. So I think that has led to a lot of wounded masculine.
Okay, and what do you exactly mean with wounded masculine? How does that show up for you?
I think wounded masculine, it shows up due to a lot of men today has been brought up by women who were in their masculine. I'm just talking now almost from a generational standpoint. Their mothers just got into the workforce with the middle class coming up as well in the world. I don't know if it was like that in the days before industrialism and digitalism, but it's just households are just so damaged. And I think when women got into work as well, the boys didn't have the woman to hold them safe at home and be that nurturing, safe spot.
Yeah.
So I really think that because of that, the women going so deeply into their masculine, that it wounded the child's masculine to have the absence of the feminine. And that has led them to become maybe more feminine as well in some shape or form. And then now we have us, our generation, the women, hyper masculine, and the men are like kind of like grown up by masculine women, and then the absence of the nurturing feminine, and it's just like a very unbalanced
dynamic
and times we're in, and how that wounded masculine can come out. I think it can look like a lot of men are okay with women mothering them. They're just letting the woman be a full-blown superwoman, which is it's not possible.
It's not realistic.
It's not realistic to take care of a man and to take care of children
and to go to work.
Like what?
So you think there should be more of a balance in honoring our own beautiful aspects and what we bring to the table individually, so that then the men can actually take more the masculine lead, and the women can bring the feminine inspiration.
Yes, absolutely. And I think inheritedly, I think men wants that. I don't think there's any men, even if they carry a wounded masculine in them, I think they would all tell you, I want to be driven with purpose and lead my family. That's what they want. And I really think that we women, because of our emotional intelligence, and when we heal and when we stop dissociating ourselves from our emotions and start integrating our emotions, healing and learning how to alchemize when we go through, our crazy periods, we are somewhat responsible to heal the men as well.
Yes, in that sense, I always like to say that women lead the healing through inspiring men.
Exactly.
You have to lead the way, and you have to take responsibility for your own healing, and then the man will see that as an inspiration, and he will live up to that, and he will step up as a man.
100%. Like that has happened in my relationship.
And it's that leading by inspiration as well that's not gonna create that mothering role, because the mothering role, like just criticizing a little boy, it's not gonna help him to step up.
No.
So it's our responsibility to step into our feminine power, so that the masculine then also steps up.
Yeah, exactly.
And we can't just expect them to become better and to heal and to step up if we ourselves aren't balancing out the other side of it.
Yeah, we full on have responsibility of our own healing part, since we have the healing journey to do as well. Of course, with a partner, and when you get into it together, it can be very relieving many times because you have somebody to kind of like lean on, but it can also be much harder sometimes than if you would do it alone, I think, because you have somebody clearly mirroring you and your insecurity, and you're just not ready maybe at that point to do that job, and that can create disturbance in the relationship, and then you're almost breaking up, and then everything is just falling apart all of a sudden, and it's just a lot, like when you're doing it in the relationship as well. But it is so rewarding for the relationship, though, if you go through that together and you rebalance and it's a dance. We do the dancing all the time. Like the progression of a relationship is always going to be energetically up and down and so on, but just like the healing part can be really tough. But I really encourage people, when they get into dating and when they start getting to know people, just fully be yourself. Try to be as vulnerable as possible, because you want the other person to accept you for who you are right now. And then be very clear about that you are in it for the growth. Like you're in it for the experiences, the explorations, the pleasure, but mostly for the growth. Because that sets that foundational.
Yeah, I think it's very important in a relationship that you both have the willingness to grow
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
And I just want to say as well that you just discussed that being vulnerable,
Yeah.
how that is so important. And I think an important note to make is that it's so important that we are being vulnerable with ourselves. We
Yeah.
need to first be able to be honest with ourselves to then also bring that to the relationship in order for us to heal together. Because if you stay living in denial, or you don't want to see your shadows, or you don't want to recognize that you have faults or flaws,
Yeah.
then the healing part or the healing together will be very difficult.
Oh my God. And so often I say that radical honesty is the way. I think radical honesty with ourselves, but not necessarily radical to the other person. At some point, yes. If it leads up to the point where radical honesty, vulnerability is necessary, then we say it. But I think as women, because of these wounds that we have, it's important that, like you said before, that we inspire through ourselves and we don't just, spit out all of our radical honesty that we're feeling. Because what am I referring to? I can give a very clear example. Take our beautiful cycle. So there are periods where we feel amazing in our relationship. The follicular phase, the ovulation, we're like, woo!
High on life. I can do anything I want.
Yeah.
Feeling sexy. Feeling
sexy.
fine.
I want you. Let's go. Where's the date? All of the things. And show me to the world. La la la. Like you're just really in it. And then you come to the luteal phase, and then you have this period of PMS which I think is such a blessing, and the story around PMS needs to be rewritten.
Okay.
PMS is our intuition screaming. And you shouldn't take it too seriously, but it is telling you something.
Yeah, it's like listening to the signals of your body instead of labeling it as I have this condition.
Yeah.
It's telling you something. It's a symptom. Listen to what needs to happen. What can you change?
Exactly.
What in
Because-
your cycle wasn't in alignment with who you are,
Yes.
with how you're living your life. You need to readjust things in
And
order for your body to function properly.
And often it's not about your partner necessarily, but I know how many times I have, because I've been thinking it's radical honesty, putting all that, puked it out on him.
During your premenstrual phase,
Yes.
you mean?
Yes. So, and of course, Julia's been really good at holding that space for me, but in many years, I was looking for wrongs with him, like in that.
Yeah, so you, instead of doing the reflection
What is it about
inwardly,
me?
yes,
Yeah.
you blame it on the outside and you say, this is not
Exactly.
okay.
But in that moment, you feel like you are just radically being honest, shouting, telling them what you are feeling,
Okay, yeah, that's interesting because I do take into account in which phase I'm at.
Yeah, I
Because
didn't.
I
a
know
lot of
that
people don't.
premenstrual, I have a dip.
Yeah.
And I know, and my partner knows that as well, that whatever comes out in that moment, I can put that in a different perspective because I'm like, yeah, that's right. I'm just premenstrual and I might be feeling a bit off. And that gives me that container actually to feel safe and to give myself compassion and to not take that as my truth.
Yes. And what you're coming to is that why you can do this is because you've reached a level of awareness and communicated that awareness. So radical honesty is only allowed when there's been reached a level of awareness almost.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes. And I think that brings us back to the same point that you also need to be honest with yourself.
Yes.
I think the radical honesty needs to start with yourself.
With yourself, exactly.
And then you can bring that to the relationship with awareness.
With awareness, exactly. Yeah. See how she puts it. I had to explain myself for 10 minutes, and then she just like naturally unfolds. Love it. Thank you, Likke, for
You're
being
very
my advisor.
Thank you for being my inspiration. You got some more wisdom there that I can rephrase.
Take a few deep breaths and
No, so I thought it was really interesting how you've put this. You've gone from business and the masculine and feminine in business, and then how that shows up in your relationship.
Yeah.
Now, I would love to discuss as well, how do you feel internally about your masculine and feminine balance? Being a really successful businesswoman and working in a male environment.
Well, this balance is something that I have in the last year started to build awareness around. And the awareness for me always starts with just starting to see feminine, masculine, this, that popping up everywhere. And my curiosity is always leading me. So I'm like, okay, what is this about? And then comes the next step. Okay, knowledge, you know, learn. Okay, what defines these things? And then comes recognition with myself. Okay, I'm really relating to this. You know, this is me. This is, whoa, I've been doing this all the time. That doesn't sound natural. I'm a fan of conceptualizing things. I think it really helps me to grow and move forward. I make concepts up in my head, and then I have a moment with myself where I'm like, okay, is this true for me?
Yeah.
Because truth, what is truth? You know, I think concepts can be to our favor, but only if we really listen to
Your inner
ourselves,
truth.
your inner truth,
Yeah.
and create those parallels. So this journey started a couple of years ago, hearing about it and everything, but I've actually just started to take that into account in my daily life and in business as well.
Yeah, and what you mentioned before, you were talking about concepts of your own inner balance, masculine and feminine, that you're using in your business, right? When you say, have I been doing this my whole life?
Exactly.
What do you mean exactly with that?
So, I mean, I had to go down memory lane and see what are the patterns that I'm seeing with myself that I do, and in which environments do these patterns come up. And then I could see, okay, in business, I'm very masculine in work or whatever I was doing. Not that I was masculine, but toxic masculine behavior. So I was very focused on healing. And I noticed that I was mothering. And if I couldn't mother, I was bitching.
Okay.
And I also noticed that I was driven by doing. The only times I recognized my feminine was in the moments of creative work within my work, which I had limited because of my need for control. And the need for control is also like a very wounded masculine, I would say. So because my need of control didn't make space for my creativity, because in a business, I am the one who fixes all the loose ends. I'm the one who has the objective overview of everything. You know, is there any bottlenecks there? Are we maintaining that conversation? I remember everything and I see everything. And it's because of that need for control, not just in my workflow, but in my partners, because I run this business with my partner, and in my other business partners. It reflected almost as if I was doing really good. It was taking us somewhere. And maybe it was because they couldn't provide me the safety that I needed. So I just felt like I need to control all of this in some sort of way. But I couldn't convey it in a good way. Instead, I was in many situations like a mother, or like in many situations very bitchy and very emotional. But then I was seeing all these masculine traits that I have that are very good. Like, and that is why I am good at business. Like it's because I'm a visionary, I am driven, I know the path, like the righteous path almost.
Yeah, and you take action.
And I'm such an action taker. I procrastinate, of course, but I do take accountability and action. So
yeah. Okay. Yeah. So why do you feel that if this masculine part of you took you to the successful place that you're at today. Why do you feel like it was off balance, and why would you want to integrate more of your feminine?
I feel like it was off balance because I don't want to have a part of me neglected, because it's obviously very clear that if I was in deep need of control, didn't make space for my creativity. I mean, my one thing for sure is that my control has served me in many, many points, but there's different ways to control. I think you control through systemized work. You can control through routines and just implementations of great tools, and that way you can have overview or whatever. You don't need to follow everyone's micromanaging.
Yeah, because in that way it takes away from your energy
fully.
Fully.
I was micromanaging like crazy. And I just came to a point where I was insanely tired of it. And I thought that if I keep going like this, I'm not building my dream. I'm building my dream. It's like not a rewarding journey.
Yeah, and it's not benefiting you as a person.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
I really needed to put myself together and be like, okay, back to the concepts. How does the feminine look? How do I, bring her forth? And it's been hard because I think once we start going down the healing path, for some reason, the universe just wants to especially if you're going to heal something big, something that if you do the work, it will propel you. If you really go through it, it will propel you to levels you are not even aware you can achieve. But in order to come there, the universe is gonna test the shit out of you. It's not even a test. It's a full contraction. It's literally breaking your whole world view.
It smacks you around.
It smacks you. You know what happened with me with this whole project here. And that was it for me in many ways. And I'm still in the rapture. I'm still in the contraction. But I know in a few months down the line or whenever my time is, I'm not going to give up on my feminine and on removing all of these things that's just blocking me from my power.
Because that's it. There you say it. If you bring that balance more in, you are so much more powerful.
And I think that it's not just me. I think we all, everybody, men, women, doesn't matter. If we all just focus a little bit on creating inner balance and just going inwards, really, is just the first step. And I don't know if it's a privilege and a luxury, but I do think everybody has time now in today's day and age to kind of start reflecting a little bit on the structures and where they live and what they're doing.
Because it's like you say, even though you have to go through a period of pain and it will be difficult and you'll have to put in the work and the effort to keep going, but then on the other end of it, you have a breakthrough and you reach a new level that you couldn't imagine before. So putting in that work and putting in the effort is so worth it, even though it's not the funnest thing to do.
But we hear so many success stories about it. How can we not make a calculated
decision
empirical
on
study?
What the way to go is?
The hypothesis is there. Everything is there. We know that if you go through it, you go through the pain, you will come out on the other side. It's the hero's journey, and it doesn't happen once in life. It happens over and over again,
continuously, especially once you've started this healing journey and you're aware, there will be always new paths unfolding, and you'll always see new things inside of yourself that aren't serving you. And so whatever it is, the way I see it is you're always living on the edge of your comfort zone.
Yes.
You're never fully you're never fully in your comfort zone, because with spirituality or with self-growth, you always walk on the edge, because there's always something new that you will discover, and you're always pushing that boundary out. And so you keep growing, but it's never a place of comfort. It's always a place of excitement and renewal and reaching new levels. But you're not just sitting in your couch and watching your Netflix with a comfortable bag of chips.
Exactly. And
You
as
have
much
to
as it can
put
be,
in the work.
as much as it can be joy, renewal, expansion, like that's how the universe works. It expands and contracts as well.
Yeah.
So it's just the natural flow of life when we live in a natural flow and choose to go down that path, honoring to go through the things we need to go through.
Yeah. Amazing. And then I think what I want to ask you as well, a bit more clarity on this, is you're working on balancing out your feminine and masculine, and this has shown up in your business, that it wasn't serving you, that your masculine was overly active or present. And then how does that balance in your relationship? Are you shifting a dynamic there? Because we always have to balance each other out, the polarities.
Yeah.
In every duality in life, light, dark, masculine, feminine. So if you're in your masculine, what does that mean for your relationship? And what does it mean when you move more into your feminine?
Wow, this is very like in time right now. And I was in my masculine for years in my relationship with Julie. And it was maybe like a comfort zone for me in a way. So I chose to like not, I was blind to it, I guess, and I just
and it's what you mentioned before as well. It's the comfort of the control.
It's the comfort.
It's a safety that you give yourself by controlling.
Yes.
And you staying in that masculine survival mode, which gives you protection.
Exactly. And just to come to a place recently, or not recently, but it was a time ago, where I'm like, whoa. I want him to provide the same level of security that I provide myself.
Yeah.
So I can just chill out, like off work especially.
Yeah.
And because if we would have kept going like the way we did, either one of us would break up, because what happened was that I was filling his wound, because his mother was masculine and feeling that. So I was kind of like taking over that role almost.
Yeah.
And for us, I think this is what makes or breaks relationships. It's the recognition of things, and then whether you're going to try your best and do your best to shift.
Yeah.
And in our case, the shift, let's call it, it's going really well. First, I was going through it, I believe. I kind of had to say, okay, dependent on him or independent of him, I'm going to do this work now.
Yeah.
For me,
Yeah.
And if that, because that was what I was afraid of. I was always really afraid that if I do the work, we're not going to be together.
Yeah.
Because he's not going to be able to step up to the plate or whatever. And maybe I gave him just the right amount of time. So to just go back a little bit, I firstly decided that I cannot be considerate of everyone and everything and all of the things that we built up. I need to be considerate of my femininity, like in my feminine self. I just want to live very naturally. It's not about that I want to chillax on a beach and not do it. I don't know, like I feel like a lot of people have like the wrong picture of what femininity and the feminine energy looks like. It's not about not doing anything.
Yeah.
It's learning how to create a container for the being to just create.
Yeah. Yeah, the ultimate creative flow of life.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, and you can get shit done in that
in that container.
In that
yes.
container.
Yes.
I think
so much more efficiently as well.
So much more efficiently.
Yeah, I notice that in my work as well. When I work and I'm in my container, in my feminine container, then I get so much more done.
Yeah.
Because with the masculine, when I'm in my masculine, am I doing in my mind, I create so many blockages in my mind. And it seems like I have to overcome so many more challenges to get things done. While when I'm working from my feminine, it's just creation and flow, and things just happen so easily because I'm like, this, of course, I'm going to solve it like that. Of course, I'm going to create this for that. So you create solutions and you think outside of the box.
Yes.
And you come up with more beautiful contributions to life.
And I think that it's not like my whole feminine has been wounded and she was completely neglected. Like, literally know. That's why I'm saying, like, this work is so important to me, because I know that actually it's she, or the feminine energy, that has gotten me here. Mm-hmm. Because she was always the one who was thinking outside the box, because my strength is my ability to connect people and community and fill up a room, and that is ultimately that charisma, that magnetism, that is what got me here.
Yeah,
it's not my doing. Yes, as much as the doing did it, and I'm good at that too, it definitely made me good at business, blah, 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 but it's this part, that is Dina, that is Dina. That's what we want.
Yeah.
Like, so, but to go back to my relationship, so when I started to be unapologetic about the work I want to do, in our relationship, that dynamic started to like fall apart a little bit. You know? There was a time of, is this it? And then we had several fallouts where we, again, honestly expressed ourselves. And the thing is that I think both of us had trouble comprehending. We both just didn't know how to find back to each other, find an energetical match. So things were really starting to fall apart in a sense, like doubting, losing faith in each other. It was really sad.
Because you're disrupting this energetic balance between a polarity or what has been working for you for years already.
Exactly.
And you're like, we need to change something. Yes. And that's going through the rapture, and not the rapture, going through the rupture of everything and breaking things apart, and the painful period to then now you're in a place where you're putting the pieces back together and it's in a new balance.
Exactly, because there comes a point in that rupture that you're like, wait, everything that we did, everything we worked for, everything that we promised each other, everything, and this is how it's gonna end? And we kind of had a promise, to each other that we never throw around words like, I'm breaking up.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
And because that just creates so much insecurity in each other. And we also always promise each other, no matter what happens, we find a way to do it consciously.
Yeah.
So now in retrospect, it was just so beautiful to go through that complete crash of like, I'm not going to compromise on myself, but I'm seeing him being unable to step up to what I need him to be in order to match me.
So you mean you leaning back more into your feminine and him stepping up into his masculine to balance it out?
That's what needs to be done, right?
Yeah.
And then in that heaviness, whatever we were going through, we had a moment, and we almost were there where we were kind of like, are we going separate ways? And then when we just said those words, since we have never said those words, it was unimaginable, right? Like, it was unimaginable that we're going to go separate ways.
Yeah.
Because when it said it, it was like, this is the worst case. Like, this is worse than the worst case scenario.
Yes, and I think it's so important in those moments to always come back to, is this what you really want?
Yes, exactly.
Is this truly what you want, to go separate ways?
And of course, it wasn't. But somehow we were left with some sadness, because of this conversation.
Yeah.
And I think it really sparked something in him. Because a lot of things, like a lot of radical honesty was brought up, and I was being very clear about, like, I am changing like this now. I'm changing.
Yeah.
And you need to adapt to me. Like, I need this. I'm going to be a mother. I'm not going to be your mother too.
Yeah.
And yeah. The rest is, I guess, history, but it's not like it happens in a night, right?
Yeah.
He is learning new programs. I'm still learning new programs, but we have new direction.
Yeah.
now, what we want to embody.
Yeah.
And how do you embody these things? Well, you go to the men's circle, you go to the female embodiment practice, you go to these things, you learn about it. It's not like I should just do it. He
Yeah.
needs to do it too, if we're going to make it work.
Yeah, that's the thing, because you just said you need him to do the work, but it's because you both have decided to choose to move forward together.
Yes.
So
yes.
then you both need to want to balance it out.
Because we were stuck in a limbo.
Yeah.
Like where it was like, if I continue to go this down here,
Yeah.
it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Then it is the breakup or whatever.
Yeah. And so I think it's really important that eventually he did step up because of his intrinsic motivation. He wanted to put in the work as well,
Yeah.
because he consciously chose to go this direction together with
yes,
you.
Yes. And the thing is that I really believe, I have this in the back of my head all the time. And looking back at this relationship, I am his portal to his highest self. He is mine too. But for men, in a way, I believe we women are our own portal to our highest self. We carry life. We are creatrixes.
Yeah.
But men, somehow, it's a beautiful balance. But what I'm trying to say is that I really think that we are the ones to heal them in a way. But once we choose to do it for ourselves, once we choose ourselves, really, that's when that heals them. That's when they come and they're like, God damn it, I need to do it too. God.
Yes, but again, the important thing is that they want to do it then. Because
Exactly.
they see you in your power and how you're holding yourself, and they see the shifts and the changing that you're going through.
Yeah.
And they are inspired then to do it themselves, because they know it will be the best case scenario for themselves.
Yes, and honestly, if you want to attract the man of your dreams, go do the work.
Yeah, do the work.
Do the work. Having some issues with your mans, do the work.
Yeah. Yes, totally.
But it's so much easier said than done. But it's the realizations you have,
Yeah.
So it's worth sharing, I think.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you. I think we've covered a lot. So like some business, your successes, the masculine, the feminine, relationships, your inner work. And
it's so hard for me to be like, when I'm in the presence of another goddess, like to stay like bounded, into one subject and to not, like, it's just
because we want to float off
into oblivion.
Yeah, create magic.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful. Thank you for sharing this.
Thank you.
And sharing your magic with the world.
Thank you there.
And how you're doing this through your business.
Yeah.
And sharing your own inner wisdom through your social presence, online presence.
Oh, thank you.
And in your relationship.
Yeah, I think it's really important to share what we're going through. I think there's so many success stories out there.
Yeah.
But there's not enough vulnerability.
Yeah.
And just here I am. I'm right in the middle of it. I feel like a divine goddess, but I'm also still in the middle of it.
Exactly. And that's what you said as well about us being able to show emotions in the workplace. It doesn't take away any of your power.
No.
It is the opposite. It gives you more power when you feel like I can show all of me.
Yes.
This is who I am. I am perfectly imperfect.
Yes. And they're going to like it or they're not going to like it. You are getting yourself across then. And that is the highest aspiration, to get ourselves across. To be heard, to be seen, to share our gifts, and to just live our own expression, no matter how it looks in any moment.
Yeah.
And that is ultimately what feels amazing.
Yes. To be able to contribute our own truth to the world. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I love you.
I love you too. And I'll leave it at that. Have a beautiful day.